Hello and welcome to part 4, the last part of our series on the market profile. How the market profile can help you make confident, higher probability trading decisions. It is focused on helping you determine how the market profile, might benefit you with your trading. In this, the fourth and last part of this series, Recap and Resources, we're going to focus on reviewing several key points that we believe will help you make an informed decision as to how the market profile can truly benefit you with your trading. We're going to cover several support channels and some of the specific resources within those channels. And then we're going to overview some support materials that we've made available for download. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started with a quick review of the definition of the market profile itself, which is an evolving database, a real-time visual tool, an information graphic that can help you interpret and understand the market's auction process so you can potentially make more informed, higher probability trading decisions. Next, in part 1, we talked about the market's auction process. We talked about how the profile is constructed and how it develops, as well as its basic components, parts, and pieces. In parts 2 and 3, we looked at several ways that information displayed on market profile charts can help you interpret, evaluate, and make higher probability decisions. Decisions based on your interpretation of what's going on in the market, what happened, and what didn't happen, including whether or not you have a potential trading opportunity based on the clues that meet your requirements. Specifically, we talked about the role of context and how it helps us keep things in perspective, as well as giving us meaning to something else. Why? Because without context, we tend to have a strong tendency to focus on a single data point or a single piece of information, such as price, which in turn sets us up for making errors in what we interpret, understand, and in the decisions we make. For example, making entry decisions off of a 5-minute bar to go long is 180 degrees different than making a decision to go short off of the same bar if the market is trending down with conviction, or making a decision to trade a certain market versus understanding if and how that market is directly impacted by other markets such as indexes versus the dollar or the treasuries. Suggestion: explore the benefits of using context as your initial filter for making decisions, like interpreting a developing auction across multiple time frames prior to deciding whether or not to enter the market. And speaking of auctions, let's start with a reminder that an auction is not usually just a single auction. It is a combination of multiple auctions. It is a part within a higher time frame auction. Remember, almost everything in the market is related in one way or another to something else. For example, knowing that market auctions differ from the traditional auction, what works for you, or what do you need to be aware of when it comes to interpreting an auction? How does understanding the purpose of an auction, quantifying fairest price, and facilitating trade help you increase your ability to interpret the auction itself? Furthermore, how can you potentially predetermine the expected and unexpected responses to a specific auction? Next, recognizing that the market profile is a collection of unique tools that can help you interpret the auctions themselves. What are 3 or 4 basic skills that you would need to learn in order to gain a solid base on which to build your learning process? How are you going to learn those skills? How does the required learning process mesh with your learning style and availability to learn and study? And finally, what can best support you in gaining the knowledge you need to become proficient in using the profile? Why do we ask these questions? Because the market profile can, when used proficiently, help you gain control over your trading by supporting you in understanding and capitalizing on balance and excess, since new auctions typically begin with a breakout from balance and end with excess. Furthermore, being able to proficiently use the profile helps you identify potential opportunities during times of change, such as when auctions begin and/or end. For example, take a look at the yellow boxes and note how many auctions started as moves that came out of balance. And, on the other hand, look at this collection of yellow boxes and note how many directional moves or auctions ended with excess or single prints at the high or low. Now, in part 3, we looked at TPOs versus contract points of control and value areas. Here's a chart where both examples show how the TPO versus the contract point of control gave us a heads up as to the possible placement for the next session, as compared to this chart, which didn't. Suggestion: consider the pros and cons of using one or the other or both, including value areas, when it comes to your methodology and overall trading process, and decide for yourself which one can benefit you most. Next, here is a simple chart that you can use for reference in recalling the different patterns related to value area relationships. Speaking of patterns, we looked at several different charts related to day types that were somewhat balanced or trading in a relatively narrow range, such as the normal day and the neutral day. Plus, we looked at two types of trend days: the typical trend day and the multi-distribution trend day. Going forward, expand your understanding of the different day types into two broad categories: range or balance sessions that primarily auction horizontally, and trend or directional sessions that primarily auction vertically, as well as the different types of openings: the general opens, which are measured in relation to the previous session's value area, and the more specific types of opens as shown here, including how they relate to reference levels, levels where there is a higher than usual potential for markets to do several things, including pause and test the outside of the range and fail to go further and then do nothing, or continue to reverse. The important point here is not that it paused, but that the pause is typically a precursor to an action that has a high probability of becoming a trading opportunity. Suggestion: learn to identify reference points. Practice identifying them relentlessly, because they are one of the keys to the context of most methodologies. And last but not least on our list was what we call specific patterns, such as short covering, the P shape, and long liquidation, the B shape, which are both what we call old business and require identification prior to execution in many cases. Also, don't forget to pay attention to traditional patterns derived from technical analysis studies, such as retest failures, 1, 2, 3, or ABC patterns, as well as double tops and triple tops and bottoms. Again, the market profile is a proven, effective collection of powerful and unique decision support tools. It's available to help you make better trading decisions and achieve the results that you seek, with the caveat that your results will be directly correlated to your market knowledge, your self-understanding, your cumulative experience, and your ability to make decisions. That being the case, we offer the following as potential key resources for your initial and advanced study of the market profile and its role as a decision support tool in your trading. For ease of reference, we've classified the following resources into three general categories: people, information, and tools. Starting with people, think about people in three general categories: individuals, such as a close peer or mentor, as well as the advantages and disadvantages of this type of relationship. For example, working one-to-one with a mentor or coach typically provides the advantage of personalized support. On the other hand, a disadvantage in that it may be biased or a single perspective form of advice. Small groups, such as study groups and mastermind groups, which potentially offer the advantage of a forum for gaining multiple perspectives, while at the same time listening to discussions that are tangent to your learning objectives. And third, large groups, which many times provide a means to hear a number of ideas and opinions as an observer versus an active participant, and at the same time address multiple topics which might not be helpful to you as far as timing or relevance. Bottom line, any one of these or a combination of any can be helpful. Suggestion: perform your own due diligence and determine if and how the individuals, singular or collectively, are congruent with you and your objectives prior to initiating a relationship or joining a group. When it comes to educators, trainers, and coaches, we suggest you increase the scope of your due diligence because you will potentially be investing a significant amount of time, energy, and money into your learning process. While there are a number of people resources in the trading industry, 4 that we hear about on an ongoing basis from our subscribers are Linda Raschke, Jim Dalton, Dan Gramza, and Brett Steenbarger. To learn more about who they are and how they help traders develop, check out their websites and blogs. Next, let's look at the category of information as well as some of the subcategories like publications, productions, and courses. When it comes to books on or about the market profile, the quantity is pretty much limited to Pete Stottlemyre's, Jim Dalton's, Dan Gramza's, the CBOT Manual, and a couple by Bloomberg Press such as New Thinking and Technical Analysis and Technical Analysis Tools, as well as some others found by doing a Google search. And when it comes to books on trader psychology and self-understanding, which are so key to our development as traders, we strongly suggest 2 things. 1, make Brett Steenbarger's books a permanent part of your library. And 2, subscribe to his Trader Feed blog. The same applies to videos, and some produced professionally, as well as a number of recorded webinars and YouTube posts. As far as courses on the market profile are concerned, from what we've seen available, the options are pretty limited. Also, for periodic publications and productions, there are a few that provide daily and or weekly charts showing what happened, what's happening, and various scenarios for what might happen depending on the service. We believe these can be positive resources when used as educational supplements. In other words, once you've done your preparatory work, you refer to these to see if you've missed something in your analysis that was important, or if a different perspective is helpful in challenging your current thinking. 2 services we hear about quite often regarding in-depth analysis based on the profile are Profile Visions and Bell Curve Trading. Okay, let's take a look at the 3rd category of resources, tools, which primarily refers to software. Caveat: while it would be in our best interest to tell you that WindowTrader Blue, our software application, is absolutely the best and why you should use it if you're using the market profile in your trading, we won't, because what's important is not a provider's claim to be number 1 or the best. It's about what's best for you and supportive of your trading process. But because software is so essential to gaining the most benefit from the profile, we're providing a market profile software checklist for you to download and use in selecting the software that works best for you. To help you gain the most benefit from the checklist, we're going to highlight several points for you to think about as you use the checklist itself. We'll begin with 2 quantifiable benefits your software should provide. First, functionality. Functionality that helps you see beyond the obvious, discern what's relevant and what's important, and support you in making your best trading decision. And second, it should adapt to you, your methodology, your trading style, and not force you to adapt to it. Next, understand the 3 key objectives of the checklist. First, to help you define your analysis requirements. which basically means what do you need displayed on the screen in order to identify, evaluate, and make your best trading decision. Second, define your requirements as to the way you want the information displayed, the functionality to work, and how you want the software to fit you and your trading style. And third, define your requirements as to the type of support and support channels that work best for you, as well as any expanded functionality that you deem important. Remember, software, the technology and support services as a whole, are a tool to help you make better trading decisions. Invest the time required to both make an informed decision as to what can potentially work best for you, and two, be open to change if the software you selected doesn't continually support you as you progress. Two other downloads we have included are a market profile mind map and a white paper on advisors, which is applicable to not only advisors but also trading educators and coaches. In wrapping this series, how the market profile can help you make confident, higher probability trading decisions, we emphasize the market profile is a highly effective information system that records, organizes, and displays market-generated information in formats that help you make better trading decisions. It's a collection of very unique and powerful tools for visually tracking the auction process, seeing what's going on, discerning what's relevant and important, and above all, a proven help in making confident, higher probability trading decisions. At this point, we conclude the series. Thank you for allocating your time to viewing the series and invite you to check out other resources available on our website, www.windowtrader.com. And don't forget, if you have any questions as time progresses that were not answered in this series about the profile, check out our knowledge base and drop us an email with your question to marketprofile@windowtrader.com. Until then, as always, we wish you unlimited success in your ongoing quest to become the trader that you aspire to be.